Hi Stampin' Friends, it's Chris Slogar from BuckeyeInklings.com, and today we're going to make this modified version of a collar fold card. And I have an example here of what you might be more used to seeing with a collar fold. The designer paper is cut just at the halfway point. It's cut in so that you can flip back corners and it looks like a collar. And I do have a video on my YouTube channel of this one as well. But this is probably what is more typical. And this is the version we're making today. A little bit different because you're flipping down from a different point and extending the collar all the way to the edges here. So let's get started on this. You need a piece of paper that is actually larger than the card front. The finished card front will be 4 by 5 1/4, but we need a little bit more length here in order to have enough paper to meet this bottom edge when we flip back. So I'm starting with a 5 1/4 inch square of the designer paper, and we are going to cut a 45-degree angle here to a point that is 1.5 inches down or over and 1.5 inches down on the designer paper. So what I have here is just a little square of designer or of the grid paper that measures 1.5 inch square, and I'm going to put that in the position here so I know where I want to start and stop that 45-degree line. Okay, and then I'm just going to put this in my trimmer and line up the corners on the track and then cut, cut from the bottom corner up to the bottom corner of that grid paper. And it doesn't have to be perfectly exact. That just gives you an idea of where you're cutting to. And we have a 45-degree angle since we started with a square piece of paper. Okay, and then I'm going to take my ruler and measure over. Now I've got this in the same orientation as the card front, and we want this fold location to be 4 inches over from the bottom left corner. So I'm measuring that with my ruler. I could use my grid paper as well, and I'm going to make a little mark there at 4 inches. And then the other mark we're concerned about, what we're going to fold to on this far edge, is 2 3/4 inches from the top corner. Okay, so I'm marking a point there. And then what I recommend is you can make a score line one of two ways. You can score, and in each case we're scoring from that end point of our cut to these marks. You can score by placing your straight edge down and connecting those points, and then taking your stylus and creating a score line. Okay, that's one way. And then as I've come to do a lot of these, here, let me flip that one back. As I've come to do a lot of these, I found that I could easily put my straight edge between my score points here and here, and also just kind of get under here with my bone folder and press up against that straight edge and easily make that flip back. So whatever works for you. It is sort of hard to put this on the trimmer because it's hard to find that end point. Okay, so now at this point, we want to finish this so that the designer paper is only 4 inches wide. So I'm going to flip this over and put this edge at 4 inches and cut off the edge over here. And then I also want to cut off the flap that's sticking down below the bottom of the designer paper. Okay, and that gives us our shape for the card. And what I have is a piece of Whisper White that's cut just a little smaller than this dimension, 4 by 5 1/4. So the Whisper White is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And I've just done that to make sure it's completely hidden under my designer paper. And I'm going to match up the edge to the edge I have here and attach that Whisper White to the designer paper. Oops. Okay, so again, I'm just making sure the right edge aligns. And then I'm also going to lock down these flaps. Okay, and it's not super critical if this turned out really neat up in that corner, because as you see, we're going to be covering that area with a bow. So I have a regular card base here that measures 5 by, 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored in half at 4 1/4. And I'm going to put my piece onto the card front here. And then I'm going to stamp in the opening. I've got a Merry Hello from this fun little set. It's called a Merry Hello. It's our host set in the mini catalog. Just going to stamp that in the opening. And then while I'm stamping, I'm going to stamp 2 bows with the gift bow punch and then cut them out. Actually, it's from the set Gift Wrapped. And I'm going to cut these out with the Gift Bow Builder punch. And I am just adding a bow. You could add some other bling. You could add some holly leaves. You could add, you know, whatever you want. Of course, this could be a different focal point. It doesn't have to be a bow. It could be like a scallop circle with a focal point, some kind of image on it. I like with my bow, I'll take each bow and I'll cut a little snip halfway up on each knot. And I like to nest them together to get a little bit of dimension to my bow, a little extra, it looks like there's a little extra ribbon that way in the bow. And then I'm just going to put that in place on my card. I'll put a dimensional under each side here. And kind of locate that how I want it, right over the intersection of the folds. And there you have it. Okay, so you can add a bit more if you want, like a little more bling or you know, more ribbon or what have you, but very simply, that's just how to create this modified collar. Thanks so much for joining me. If you need any of the products you've seen here, please visit me at buckeyeinklings.com. And I'd so appreciate your business. Thanks so much.